Today I'm here in EAS hangar, in the hangar of my school, for a very interesting reason. Today I'm not flying, but I'm participating in the interview. I'm taking an interview from two airline pilots, and I would like to see how they have come to the profession that they've come to, what kind of challenges they have met, and what are they gonna do with their future and everything. So I invite you to join me in this journey with them. And now they're speaking over there, they're speaking in Spanish, and they're discussing many different details about an airline pilot job. So let's dive a little bit into the intro.
Hello, my name is Oscar Mateos. I'm an airline pilot for short and medium range flights here in Europe, and I'm 32 years old.
My name is Sabina Paul. I'm a 29 years old girl from Barcelona. I am a professional airline pilot flying the A330 right now. I have an active living. I love sports, outdoors, and being with my friends and family in my free time. And also in my social media, in my profile called Sabina Paul on my Instagram, I try to explain how I manage jet lag, this active living with a demanding job like being a professional pilot.
So I became an airline pilot through the modular ATPL route, let's say. I actually did my PPL when I was 19 here in Sabadell, and then I basically spent the rest of the next 6-7 years studying in university and doing a university degree, a master's, and doing some time building as well. And then when I finished my time building and all these courses and worked a little bit, a few years before COVID actually, the airline dream that I had when I was young came back again, and I thought maybe now it's a good time to start thinking about studying the ATPL or continuing the ATPL, let's say, after my time building. And in COVID I did my theory, my ATPL theory, and then I did all my BFR night, CPL, instrument rating, and everything up to the MCC APS.
Well, it's something I decided when I was like 16 years old, when my mom asked me, Sabina, stop doubting about if you want to study one thing or another, but how do you want to live? And then I had it clear, I wanted to be a pilot. My mom and my dad, they are not familiarized with aviation, but they put all the effort to make my dreams come true. And this is how I finally started my degree in aviation. We chose to make a degree because we were not we had not so much information about how these studies were. We knew that the health was a handicap, and this is why we wanted me to be as much educated as possible.
So a typical shift in the company where I work, our typical roster would be 5 days flying, 4 days off. 5 days flying, 4 days off, which is really good. It's a very stable roster, and that is something that is very good if you have a family, you have planned things ahead. And a shift, it depends if it's 2 legs or 4 legs or sectors. If, for example, we're flying, let's say, in somewhere in the middle of Europe from Spain and back, you would be starting very early in the morning at around 6 o'clock, and you might be home at around 11, 12 in the morning. And if you're doing 4 sectors, 4 legs, then you might come home a little bit later, like at around 5 in the afternoon, something like that.
Well, right now I'm a long-range pilot. I fly the A330, so the kind of flights that I do are long, are a 10, 12 or 14 hours flight crossing the Atlantic. And of course this is different from when I flight short range. This was a kind of flight in which I always came back to Barcelona, my base, but right now as flights are longer, what I do is I start the flight, I arrive to the destination, and with the time change and everything, I sleep in destination. I have a layover or 2 layovers. I have my rest time there, some time to make tourism, some time to rest, to do sports, and then I come back. So it may totally be like 3 or 4 flights a month, but this may take like 14 days a month, taking into account the days I spend in destination and the flights itself. All the long flight pilots have some irregular sleep patterns because we are changing our time zone every time we fly. It may be 4 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours difference, and of course your biorhythms get a little bit disturbed. But I think that having an active living, taking care of your health, eating good, sleeping good at home, prioritizing sleep is the key to make this effect being lower.
So after finishing the last course, the MCC APS, I applied. It was the first airline I applied for, and it was really straightforward and really, I wouldn't say easy, but it was really operationally just straight ahead. I got an email saying, hey, we're interested in your profile. Here is a link to some online tests. If you pass them, we'll invite you to the simulator assessment and the interview. And yeah, that happened. It was really quick, surprisingly quick, to be honest. And in about a month and a half to 2 months, the whole process was covered.
Well, now I am 29th, and I started flying in commercial aviation when I was 22, so young in fact. It's a curious thing because when I started my studies, we were a few in my promotion because it was a bad moment of demand in aviation. There was no jobs, there was no possibility to enter in commercial aviation without experience. But when I finished my career, the world of aviation opened itself a lot. There was a lot of demand, and I had the opportunity to apply in a good airline without experience, with just the school flight hours, and I could start flying so young, with 22 years old, in commercial aviation, the Airbus 320. I fly the short range during 5-6 years, and 2 years ago I started flying the long range flights, which I really love, and I think that I prefer them.
There's been moments in all my aviation process and my aviation life where I was like, you know, maybe this is not for me, I want to literally give up and not continue with this, especially because in my case I've always done another thing apart from studying. It's not been my whole purpose. Aviation is a very important part of my life, but it's not my everything. So there was always personal stuff, there was always professional stuff, businesses aside, projects, and so sometimes it was overwhelming to think, oh, after a long day of this, now I have to study and do 150 questions on general aviation, and there was a moment where it was just too much. But it was just a matter of keep pushing, and making it happen in the end.
It's a good question, because I really agree with you that aviation is high demanding in terms of formation, studying, and always being prepared, always having the decision in your mind in case you have an abnormal situation or an emergency. Always be prepared for anything. But I've never felt like this was too much for me. And I think this is because I really love my job. It's something about passion, about vocation, and when you feel like I'm really prepared and this is what I like to do and I'm really sure of that, I think that you just can go with it. And of course there are moments, for example in flight simulators, in which you have a lot of pressure, and sometimes you get stuck in the sessions. But then I think it's very important to have a mental strength and just continue it.
I think I have it very clear. I would tell my 19-year-old self to not spend money in stupid things and save it for all the aviation things you were going to do. Don't party too much. Don't, I wouldn't say travel, but don't waste money in things that basically things where you want to show people you're doing something just to show off, you know. And I learned that in a very quick way. I think it's important to keep your money for what you're interested and what you're looking for in the future. And in my case, it was for the ATPL. So maybe I would have done it earlier and not later like I did.
Oof, that's a good question. Of course, I would tell my young myself that don't worry too much about things. Don't get so, I don't know, worried about friends or persons that are around you that really don't give you good things. And you will do whatever you want to do. So don't spend time losing time in things that are not important.
As a person, for the next 5 years, I would like to grow my family from one little baby I have now to maybe 3 or 4, who knows. And that's my priority at this moment, personally. Take care of my wife and my family. And professionally, I don't really know exactly, because I'm really happy where I am at this moment flying, and I always see myself flying but doing projects aside, like marketing projects, aviation projects related with marketing and sales. That's something I've always done in my whole life, and something I would like to continue doing. So possibly, yeah, I see myself doing something like what I'm doing now, just different things at different levels, but a little bit older.
Wow, in my personal life, I have too many projects. I'm super motivated right now writing my first book with a friend, and also another book which will be like my real life, my personal life book. Also in my social media, I think like I can give something to people who has no information about aviation. And of course, I have many projects apart in my personal life. I would love in 5 years to have a family, to be a mother, and in my professional life it would be amazing to upgrade to a captain in the next 5 years, but I'm not obsessed with this idea. I think it's something that will come natural, and yeah, but I'm super enthusiastic about this. Well, it really depends on each airline, and not only on the airline, but in the natural progression of the people that work in it. I mean, if the captains, it's something like it has to come, you go after the person that is before you, and if, for example, it comes an economical crisis in the country, and there is no demand in aviation, everything stops. But if we have a good moment, a high moment of demand, and the airline is getting new pilots, then everything moves faster, and then you can get promoted earlier.